Have you ever thought about a kingdom that was born from a single ruthless power grab? Well, today, we are diving deep into the story of Aristobulus I. His reign in Judea was short, it was brutal, and honestly, it reads like a lost Shakespearean tragedy. And we know all about it thanks to the ancient historian Flavius Josephus.
You know, Josephus kicks off this whole story with this really powerful warning. It's a timeless lesson, right? It shows just how easily power and paranoia can poison even the tightest family bonds. This isn't just a dusty old history lesson, it's a look at the dark side of human nature.
So our story starts in a familiar way. A father dies, and a very ambitious son rises to take his place. But Aristobulus wasn't just happy to inherit his dad's legacy. No, he wanted more. He craved absolute total power, a kingdom he could build all for himself. And get this, in a move that would totally rock Judea, he turns the government into a monarchy. Now, this wasn't just about giving himself a fancy title. This was a massive shift in power, and it was going to have immediate, and I mean brutal consequences, starting with the people closest to him. And here is where things get really twisted. You see this chilling contradiction at the very heart of his rule. On one hand, he absolutely showers his beloved brother Antigonus with power, even makes him a co-ruler. But in the very same breath, he has his other brothers thrown in prison. It was a cold, hard calculation to get rid of any potential rivals to his throne.
But his most shocking act of cruelty, wow, that was reserved for his own mother. See, his father had given her a position of power in his will, and because of that, Aristobulus saw her as a threat. So he imprisoned her and, in an act of just unimaginable cruelty, he starved her to death. This kingdom was, from day one, literally built on the blood of his own family.
But like Josephus points out, that kind of cruelty, it has a way of coming back to bite you. And when vengeance came, it wasn't from some outside enemy. Oh no, it came from inside his own court, and it was aimed at the one person Aristobulus seemed to actually love.
So the king's palace, the center of power, it quickly turned into a total snake pit of jealousy. You had these envious plotters who saw how much the king loved Antigonus, and they started whispering. They started making up this story of treason against the loyal brother. And this is where that nasty business of slander really comes into play.
Okay, let's set the scene for this tragedy. There's a big religious festival happening. The king, Aristobulus, he's sick, stuck in his room. His brother, Antigonus, returns from a military campaign, a conquering hero, looking incredible in all his gear. And his whole purpose for being there? To pray for his brother's health. But his enemies, they don't see loyalty. They see an opportunity. They took every little detail of his grand entrance and just twisted it into a weapon. His amazing armor? Well, that wasn't a sign of victory. It was a symbol of ambition. His armed guards? They weren't for protection. They were an assassination squad. And they just kept feeding these lies to the sick, isolated king, playing on the exact same paranoia that had already led him to kill his own mother. So the big question is, right? Could the king's genuine love for his brother stand up to all this poison being whispered in his ear? Josephus tells us that at first Aristobulus just wasn't buying it. He really did love Antigonus. But you gotta remember, this is a guy who seized power through violence. He'd already killed his own family to protect his throne. So those constant whispers, they just started to eat away at him, feeding that deep-seated paranoia.
And slowly but surely, that suspicion starts to win out over his affection. He decides he has to protect his throne, even if it means protecting it from the brother he loves. But he's not going to confront him face to face. No, he's going to set a trap instead.
So he comes up with this plan, a secret test really, to find out where his brother's loyalty truly lies. He wanted to do it without causing a big public scene. It was a deadly test, and everything, absolutely everything, was going to hinge on one single detail.
The trap was as simple as it was deadly. He hid guards in a dark underground tunnel. Their orders were crystal clear. If Antigonus shows up unarmed, let him pass. If he shows up armed, kill him on sight. A messenger was sent with this seemingly simple request. But this, right here, is where the plot takes its final, fatal twist. All thanks to the queen. The queen, working with the plotters, gets to the messengers first, and she tells them to deliver the complete opposite message. A message that played perfectly on the brothers' affection for each other and on Antigonus's pride. Tell him, she says, that the king heard about his magnificent new armor and he really, really wants to see him in it. It was a masterstroke of pure deception.
And just like that, Antigonus, with no idea of the betrayal, puts on the very armor that's going to condemn him. He walks into that dark passage where a paranoid king's love has set a deadly trap, and a hateful queen has made sure it will be sprung. It's a perfect storm of affection, envy, and deception. And as he walks into that darkness, you have to wonder, who's really to blame here? The paranoid king, the envious court, or the queen who so cleverly pulled all the strings?